Thank you so much, ITU, for inviting me over. I'll start by a quick introduction as to the story of Nasdaily, how I ended up sort of talking to you guys here. And in my session today, I want to talk about storytelling, how to tell a story that's not boring. And I'll go into some details as to some examples of stories that we made previously. And the hope is that you can, after this session, go and tell your own stories in your own way. To begin, my name is not Nas, my name is No Sire Yassin, like yes sire, no sire. It's a very complicated name, so I decided to go by the nickname Nas, and I'm 28 years old, so almost 30. My background started, in very basic origins. I grew up as a Palestinian-Israeli, and I know this is a subsidiary of the United Nations, so you know how complicated Palestine and Israel are. So ever since I was a kid, I wanted to escape and go to a place that has no problems, which is the United States. No problems whatsoever. And I was lucky enough to get into Harvard and get a full scholarship to study economics there. After graduation, I decided to get a job in New York as a software engineer. Nothing that I did in the first quarter of my life has anything to do with storytelling or has anything to do with video making. I got a job as a software engineer, just looking at a computer screen for 9-10 hours every day. And then at some point, I asked myself a very simple question. When are you going to die? Turns out there are two people that have that answer, God and Google. And I asked Google because it's easier. And then you type life expectancy, male average. Turns out the life expectancy is 76 years. On average, I was gonna die at age 76. Back then I was 24. 24 out of 76 is 32%. That's when I realized I'm 32% done with life. I am 1/3 dead. And for me, that was the wake-up call to leave my job and do whatever I wanted to do and go around the world and tell stories. And this is how Nasdaily started. I came up with an idea. I'm gonna make videos. Why videos? Because the most engaging stories are done via video, not text, not pictures anymore. And in the future, it'll be VR. And I wanted to keep my stories to be 1 minute. Why? Because you're too damn busy to listen to me talk for 1 hour. I don't know why you're doing that today, but on average, most people just have 1 minute to give you, and you just gotta tell them a story in that 1 minute. And this is how Nasdaily started, People Daily. I wanna play you the first video I ever made, just to show you how terrible Nasdaily was. There you go.
You're trying to get this to be awkward?
Maybe. Is this shit working?
I don't know.
I have no clue why I'm doing this, but I think it'll be fun. Here's the idea. Once a day, I'm gonna make one video that's 1 minute long. That's it.
In New York City, off to Egypt, today, Kenya, Ethiopia, India, then Nepal, then Japan, then all the way to San Francisco, and then back home to New York City.
Coming with me is one drone, one heavy camera, one GoPro, Venmo-Tees, and protein bar. The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. Jokes. Let's do this. That's day one. See you in Egypt tomorrow.
This video sucks. I didn't know how to make videos. I didn't know how to tell stories. I tried to tell a story in this video, but I really just couldn't. There was no cohesive, entertaining or interesting thing in this. But I committed. I said to myself, making videos on the internet and telling stories is the future. So after 1,000 days, I made 1,000 videos. Never missed a day, not even once. even if I went to the hospital, even if my parents went to the hospital, the commitment was to make 1,000 stories in 1,000 days. And to my surprise, my storytelling became better. The video telling, the video capabilities became better and better, and people started to watch. I traveled to 64 countries, made videos from 64 countries, probably your countries and my country. The videos were viewed 9 billion times, amassing over 31 million followers on the internet. This is 31 million more people than I thought would ever be interested in my stories. And after that, started Nas Academy, which is essentially a school for the creators. You know, doctors go to medical school, lawyers go to law school, and we want creators to go to Nas Academy because storytelling is very, very, very difficult. And this is why you're all here, I assume, because, you know, what is the most effective way to tell a story that people engage in? How can you do that? Now, we specialize in video, and in video, there's a lot of things that matter. The visuals, the talent, the music, the audio, the camera work, and the sound effects. But the truth is, none of that matters. It's really the story that matters. The words that you use in the video matter. Because I believe if you tell the right story, if you use the right words, in today's world, because of the algorithm, because of social media, because of Facebook, because of YouTube, because of Twitter, one story, the right story, can change elections, can start a riot, and can change someone's life. It can be the best thing in the world and the worst thing in the world. One video is all it takes to make the whole world either explode or start to be or prosper. And that is incredibly powerful. So how do you tell the right story about your product, your business, or your country, or your race, or your gender? How do you tell the right story? This is a question I've been asking myself for, 1,000 days. And, I came up with some sort of a rubric, some sort of a framework to try to understand what are the 3 key pillars to telling a good story. And I summarized them into this. The story has to be simple. The story has to be organized. The story has to be relatable. So I'll give you an example. In today's world, if you're in academia, or if you're in the UN, or if you're in ITU, or if you're in any government in the world, most likely you talk in very sophisticated language. This is an example that I've always wondered. There are so many ways to tell the same story. This is one complicated way. If you intake a minimum quantity of 2 liters of H2O on a daily basis, you will remain hydrated and enjoy a greater level of positive health. In other words, you're using such complicated words. You can just say water is good for you. Drink water. The issue with today's world is that we do not simplify things enough. We try everybody to use the most complicated word just to show that we know how to say it. And that's the main issue I see really with the academia world, with the politicians, with really many people who are in corporate world. Just say drink water, water is good for you. And you may think, well, Nasdaily, this is kind of an idiotic way to speak. You kind of need to elevate your speech to tell a better story. And to those I say, well, you don't. The smartest guy in the world, Albert Einstein himself, says it. Make everything as simple as possible, but no simpler. And unfortunately, in today's world, we lost track of this quote. And we start using, different words for things that are simple. Hydrate, quench, slurp, digest, satiate, consume. Just drink. To tell the right story, you have to use as simple words as possible. You have to unlearn English. So everything I learned at Harvard, all these essays that I was writing at Harvard, was like, only my professor would understand this complicated sentence. The mass media, people on Facebook, someone that is like scrolling their Facebook feed, they don't get it. And even if your audience is not Facebook, if your audience is politicians, even politicians want simpler sentences and simpler ideas. You look at the world's most powerful politicians right now, they've definitely unlearned English for a reason. So, I want to go through an example of what happens when you unlearn English and simplify things and put them in a video. What happens? I'm going to talk about the world's most boring topic. And I'm going to show you examples of how simplifying stories and putting them on video can actually create good results, even if the topic is boring. This is the topic: Singapore's waste management. Nobody cares about the waste management infrastructure of Singapore. Pretty much most people in the world don't even know where Singapore is on the map. This is where I live right now, by the way. And I want to show you an example where I took these stuff from a, like the agency's website, and I want to show you an example of how wording things differently makes a big difference. This is how corporate people describe Singapore's waste management. I'm going to read it to you just to show you how complicated it is. Semakau Landfill opened on 1st April 1999 and is currently Singapore's only landfill facility. Covering an area of 350 hectares, it is expected to meet the country's solid waste disposal needs up to 2035 and beyond. In 2016, the landfill received an average of 2,189 tons of WTE plant ash and non-incinerable waste daily. It continues. The garbage is transformed into ash by Singapore's incineration plants and then transported to this island. It is then disposed of into water between two islands. The water is divided into cells. These cells are drained before ash fills them. Thereafter, it is covered with soil so that birds can pollinate them and nourish the plants. This measure taken also ensures that the flora and fauna in the area are intact. In fact, it is flourishing. The area is so exceptionally clean that some locals even visit the place for wedding photos. What the hell is flora and fauna? I know what flora and fauna is, but for the average person who doesn't speak English, they don't know what that is. My mom doesn't know what that is. And when you look at this is the kind of like the way the island looks like, right? Like, it's beautiful. It's taken care of. There's not a single piece of trash that's flying around. Everything is controlled, and that's their landfill. But when you read this story of how you describe this process, you realize only 1% of the planet may understand it, and the remaining 99% would never even care. And this is probably the story of your company or your project. No one cares about it because it is not simple enough to understand. So, I want to show you an example of how you can simplify this script. The garbage is transformed into ash by Singapore's incineration plants and then transported to this island. That's the original. You just say, they take the entire country's garbage and burn it. I get it. It is then disposed of into the water between two islands. The water is divided into cells. They collect the ashes and ship to a man-made island to bury in special waters. You don't need to know some of the details. It's just special waters. They just burn it. You don't need to use the word incinerate. Just burn. My mom knows what burn means. Incinerate is too academic for people to understand. So we take these right words and we put them into a video. We add a little bit of music, and then this is the final story of how Singapore cleans. Remember, in the title, there's not even waste management. I don't say Singapore's waste management. It's too complicated. How Singapore cleans. What I'm about to show you will blow your mind just like it blew mine. See, I'm here with my girlfriend, vacationing on a nice island off the coast of Singapore. It's pretty, it's clean, it's nice. But what if I told you that this nice island is made of trash? I kid you not, Singapore is so clean that even their trash island looks like this. Not this or this. They take the entire country's garbage, they burn it, collect the ashes, and ship to a man-made island to bury in special waters. All of this while keeping nature clean. It doesn't smell at all, it doesn't hurt the environment, the corals are still alive, the animals are still around, and the jungle is still green. People even come to take wedding photos at a landfill. In many countries, landfills are painful to look at and to visit. This is why everybody needs to see this, because the people of Singapore have made a landfill feel like a resort. That's 1 minute. Singapore! It's the same story. It's just a little bit more exciting, with a little bit more basic words. And what happens? This website I showed you probably gets 100 views per month for people to understand the story of Singapore's waste management. But the video we made has reached 136 million people around the world, with 1.6 million people sharing it, 51,000 people writing a comment saying, wow, amazing, and 1 million people clicking like. It's the same story. It's just done with simpler words. If there's anything I want people to remember as we try to tell the story of our projects, our startup, our countries, our nations, our development goals, you need to speak in the language that everybody understands, your mom understands, not in a language that your colleague understands or your professor understands. So, to kind of wrap it all up, when we look at a storytelling, every story needs to be simple, organized, and relatable. And that golden three has guided every single video I made. All those 1,000 videos that I made in 1,000 days. Every day you wake up and you say, all right, I'm gonna tell the story of a new country today. How can I make this simple? How can I make people care about this country? Because we all know nobody cares about another person. How do I make you care about a country that's as small as, let's say, the Seychelles? And I have to make it relatable. How can it relate to you? And as you build a company, you should come up with the assumption that nobody cares. When you start, so I think this is probably because I'm a minority. Minorities have, an inferiority complex where you grow up as a kid, nobody cares about you, you're not the majority, so we don't care about you. And when you grow up with an inferiority complex, you always think that nobody cares about me. And that complex is why I think Nasdaily succeeded, is because every day I wake up and I say, nobody cares about my project. Nobody cares about my videos. Nobody cares about my opinion. And I need to work like a donkey to make you care. So I'm gonna use simple words. I'm gonna be efficient with your time. You don't need 10 minutes of your time. I'll just give you the idea in 1 minute. I'll scream to get your attention, and I'll put my video wherever you hang out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And I'm gonna make it as simple as possible for you to listen to my story. And because of that, 31 million people decided to follow Nasdaily. So as I summarize this journey, I really want people who are listening to this, and I don't know everybody's personal story. Don't buy expensive gear. Don't go hire expensive agencies. Agencies also don't know what they're doing because they've never done it themselves. And don't go think my idea is great. It's really not about it's not about the idea, it's not about the agency, and it's not about the gear. It's just about using the right words. The right words can change the world. I'm 100% a believer in this slide, and I hope you believe in that too. And I hope you choose the right words to describe and tell your own story. Thank you guys so much for this. I hope it was helpful.